Hey guys, this is Tom. It's the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. Been thrown off significantly in recent days. I had been thinking about doing a SOMIFA down the stretch show. You know, nothing with me is too short with the shows, but a fairly brief. That's about the best you're going to get from me. Is fairly brief. A fairly brief look at the fourth quarter upcoming, the playoff races, what's going to happen, playoffs, things like that. I don't do these all the time. We try to do a mid-season show. We certainly do it well. Certainly do a season preview show. I try to do a mid-season show. I try to broadcast all the playoff games I can for SOMIFA, certainly. And we do a draft show. And every now and then you might get something else like this down the stretch show. Or in the beginning we did playoff previews, but everything was new and exciting in the beginning. So then it gets a little more work-like. And I just stay in work. I kind of run away from anything that starts to feel like work. Let's get right. Well, what's also good here is I've got staff files. Okay. The team staff files is what I mean. Basically, writer and league manager, which is up here. Report writer right there. Being correct here, but this should be fine. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. I'm paranoid about not doing the buttons right here since I had a mistake once and mistake. So, but you go into report writer, you can create all kinds of reports. So there are ones for team categories. So I create the team category ones that I want. Them as an HTML file, and I copy paste that into spreadsheets. They're very easy, these ones. Same columns and everything like that. So, and then I sort them so I can look and see number one offense in the league and yardage, and the number one defense and the top running team and all that type of stuff. And it's kind of fun because it's not that easy, I feel, to get the team stats out of League Manager and get them sorted like very quickly and right away in an easy to see format. There's the League Manager one. You do reports, you do league, you do league grand totals, and it gives you this stuff. But it's not bad, I guess. But I don't know if I'd like a little more, or if you want to copy paste these and break them out, you could do that, I suppose. I'm sure there's a quicker way to do these things that I do. Dennis would know better than me. He's a computer savvy. Well, I am computer okay. And I'm a probably typical user for my age with the computer, but nothing extra beyond that. But let's get right into the standings. Okay, and there have been a couple of games played already. Doing this a few days. So the deadline was the 14th of December, and I'm doing this show on December 19th. There's only 2 games that have been. Christmas is 6 days away, and you can imagine the week before Christmas, probably not a great time for guys to schedule their Strato games. And the deadline for the fourth quarter is January 11th. So after Christmas, there might be a lot of games played in a short period of time. And I've got to play my games in SOMIFA. I've got to play my games in Autumn Wind. And I've got to get ready for SSFA, because trading and SSFA opens before the SOMIFA season even ends. SOMIFA season ends January 11th. And Ed sent out an email today, and I think that the will be starting January 2nd. I like to do all my fancy spreadsheets and stuff before making moves. So that might work it out for me to play games, get ready for SSFA, and try to get trade offers out. The was a rebuilding team, Browns-esque, 4-28 over the last 2 seasons, I believe. 0-16 2 years ago. And they'll be competing at a high level in SSFA this year. Complete with 2 of the top 5 picks, number 3 and number 5. So maybe some moving and shaking for that team. But we're talking about SOMIFA here. Up the year-by-year coach stuff as a reminder of what's happened. What each team did each year. Maybe I should bring up the standings from last year. In this show, I'd like to see what guys did last year. The championship over Ed, 27-17. I lost to the playoffs, 22-19. Again, this year, for the first time in at least a couple of years, I'm sure, in SOMIFA, maybe longer than that, I'm not certain. But you look at this, now I'm going to be confused between last year's standings and this year, so maybe that was not a good idea. But you look at the standings, and one man stands alone on top. That is Dennis Crowley, 10-2. This team started out 7-1, and by Dennis's own admission, had a fairly soft the season. But he has a brutal schedule for the second half of the season. Playing Cincinnati, Jay Villing, playing me, the Jets, Atlanta, Nathan, Houston Texans, Paul. Those are all over 500 teams. He's got to play Ed. He's got to play Tennessee. He's having a very strong year. He's got to play Pittsburgh and Dallas. It's a very tough second half. But he rose to the occasion, as he so often does, going 3-1 in a tough third quarter. And I believe he started out, I think the first game I played in the quarter, he played Atlanta first. So nice that Ed does these things so organized. You can see what order the games are played in. You can find wins and losses. You see the deadline, the quarter scoring average. Organization as a commissioner, it's awesome. Makes it very, very easy to play in the SOMIFA family of leagues. Very easy to play and to prepare for the draft. You have to do your own research, but I find the files are organized in a very helpful and user-friendly way. So Dennis beat Jay 23-17. That was a SOMIFA showcase game, I believe. Lost to me 23-17. You can't win them all. It was a close game. Beat Nathan easily 30-13. To struggle a little bit. And beat Paul 38-14. So Dennis gaining strength as the season goes on, despite the tough schedule. And he's rewarded because he's now 10-2 and has the best record in the league today if the season ended. And part of that is that the Tennessee Titans have lost a couple of games. The Titans, you remember them. Yes, a play on words or whatever, an allusion to the movie or a direct reference to the movie is probably more accurate. Mixed Titans were 7-1, John Madden's old team, but he only split in the third quarter. He lost to San Diego. That's TJ's club. I think it's 34-26. Lost to Green Bay. He's been a feisty team, although he had a bit of a disappointing third quarter. I know he's 8-4, so he's fine. Green Bay 27-22, beat Arizona 27-13, and look at this, barely beat the Eagles 19-17. It's a 4-8 Eagles club. But maybe how close that was to an actual defeat, or if, well, tough to say. Mick kicked a field goal with 6:36 left to take that 19-17 lead. He was trailing up until then. Must have been a lot of turnovers. He held Philly to 196 yards. Offense. The Eagles aided by Oh, by Sam Bradford, 27-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. By Sam Bradford, 76-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. If you've ever watched Three Stooges, I think Sam probably put the ball under his shirt. Didn't know who had the ball. That type of routine. And then Eddie Royal had a 52-yard return. So the Eagles didn't do much this game. But got a couple of huge breaks there to almost win. I mean, they had 12 first downs, and Mick gained him nearly 2-1. So, but I think you're a good team. You had a couple of really horrible breaks there, and yet still pulled out a close game. So nice job at Mick there. Logjam. I wish I had saved the standings from after week 8 because we did that midseason show. As you know, 10-2 Seattle is on top of the 1 seed. 3 9-3 clubs: the Jets, the Chargers, and the Titans. 3 8-4 clubs: the Falcons, and then a host of 7-5 clubs: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-5 clubs, including, I got to point out, the New York Giants, who I mentioned in the midseason show. I'll pat myself on the back here. They were only 3-5. But I looked at the schedule, and I know Joe Golden's a very, very good coach. I said, this could be a team that, even though the 3-5 ends up 9-7 or 10-6 and gets into at least the mini playoffs. And sure enough, Joe came out and swinging in the third quarter, and it rolled off a perfect quarter. Beat Denver 35-21, beat Miami 23-14, got by Arizona 14-10. He had to have that one. He really had to have all of them in this quarter. 32-18. Set himself up for with a 7-5 record now. 5 start. And the fourth quarter looks good. Got to play Tennessee. They're real tough. And then look at this. You got Buffalo, City 1-11, Tampa Bay 3-9. So Joe should easily win 3 of those games. And he can compete with Tennessee and be in the playoffs after 3-5 starts. A great job by Joe Golden. That was worth pointing out. And I can also tell you with the 2 fourth quarter results already in that Joe beat Kansas City 26-3. So Joe's now 8-5 playoffs. And the Bengals, Jay Fillings Club, beat Kansas City. That's Lawrence's team, 42-17. 9-4. And Lawrence falling down to 1-13. Kansas City, Buffalo each have 1 win. Did they play this year? This year. So they're in the running for the first pick in the draft. And it'll be interesting because the John Watson, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, probably one of those guys, will be the first pick. And Lawrence, I know, has got Jameis Winston and Jared Goff. So will he be appealing to him or trade down? Buffalo needs a quarterback. So despite Deshaun Watson's ACL, apparently he had one in college also, you would think that Scott would probably take Watson if he got the first pick overall. But Leonard Fournette looks pretty good. Kareem Hunt, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Kind of a weird top of the draft next year. But we got a ways to go for that. We got 9 months, 8.5 months until the next SOMIFA draft. But I tell you what, you might only have a few months until, maybe not even a few months, you might have a month or 2 until the next SOMIFA mock draft. January SOMIFA mock a couple of times. Usually I've done that, believe it or not, in preparation for Fay off season, because I kind of want to know what the draft looks like the following year. So I feel like I can better value my future draft picks, my 1s and 2s. Though, of course, there's an entire NFL season to play before future SSFA picks will get traded. But, it likes to, helps me with some decision making. And we all know I'm crazy when it comes to the young players and stuff like that. And it gets me a head start in looking at young players for SOMIFA, SOMIFA 2017. So when July comes around, I've got a greater familiarity with a lot of these players. I already have a pretty good amount of familiarity with a lot of the players, but I don't have the rookies down pat like I will by the time next year's strat game comes out, God willing. So let's look at Dennis. It's 10-2. Look at this point difference. He's got 313 points scored, 180 against. All right. And I think that's the best mark in the league. No, San Diego is plus 158. You see, this is wrong. I messed this up somehow. Oh, well. I'd done this point differential thing. It's incorrect. I have the points for correct. And the points against correct. The plus the point differential correct. I should have locked some of these references or something. I was a little rusty, but anyway. All right, so Dennis is number 2 in the league in scoring at 26 points a game. He's got the stingiest defense in the league at 15 points a game. Look at this. Now, the league's averaging about 21 points a game. Okay. And so these are something I find it interesting to look at these team stats and averages and see where the league is at and what's really standing out, especially here. You're late in the season. It's 12 games played for each team. But 21 points a game is the average. And as you'd expect, the top 8 teams in scoring all have very good records. No big surprise there. And defensively, you actually have some clubs in the top 8 that aren't doing that great. I mean, let's see, Miami, Detroit, plus Indianapolis are in your top 8 in scoring allowed per game. Miami's 5-7, Detroit's 6-6, Indianapolis is 6-6, 5. So they're at least above 500. They say defense wins championships. So look, we got 3 teams in the top 8 in defensive scoring. Actually, Nathan's defense isn't doing too bad, 19.6. The playoffs, it could be 4 if Dallas slips off. So interesting. This year, greater correlation between the offensive victories than the defensive victories. So correct, because you could look down and see how that stacks up. I'm interested in this number 1 defense for the Seahawks. Points allowed. He's number 4 in yards allowed per game. And he's number 2 in the plus minus. I'm not going to sort by the giveaways. So Dennis is doing a very fine job with his club, as you'd expect. Take a look at some stats. You see, when you have a team with a good record, you see this huge differential in the yards from in the total offense. The yards from scrimmage. I mean, Dennis has got yards more than the opponent in 12 games. It doesn't take an advanced degree in mathematics to see that that's going to be over 1,000-yard differential for a 16-game season. I like that. Oh, yeah, I'd like to be 1,000 yards ahead of the other guy, right? I mean, geez, that's very significant, I would say. And then a lot of other stuff you expect to see from a good team. The third downs, he's 10% better. Efficiency. 75%, that's a solid red zone efficiency for his offense. But look at the defense, 55%. So Dennis is really clamping down in the red zone. pass defense, 53.7 completed allowed, only a 5.6 average gain allowed. Whereas on offense, he actually run the ball more than he's passed it. Now, some of those are must runs for Russell Wilson, but he's got good balance. 372 carries with almost 2,000 yards and a 5.2 average, having almost 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns and a 6.5 average. And then Russell Wilson, 67%. Well, that's for the team is 66.8. Colt McCoy came in, I guess, for an injury. I think that was during a SOMIFA showcase. That rings a bell. But Russell's completed 66.5, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 7.1 average gain. So nice job all around here by Dennis with +9 in the turnovers as well. It's going to be really interesting to see who gets these top 4 seeds. I looked at it briefly with Dennis off the air, just in Slack probably. After that, I think the third quarter file came out from Ed, or maybe when the standings were out late in the third quarter. Teams are probably going to be your top 4 seeds. I don't know what the order is going to be, but I remember looking at the remaining schedules and the tiebreakers and thinking that would probably hold. 2, 3, 4 in that order. Certainly, I'm not picking that, but I think those 4 will actually be your top 4. Behind them at 8 and 4. So Seattle 10-2, and I don't think I'll go into that much depth with the other teams. Probably just do a quick show and see what the chances are the rest of the way for these clubs. Francisco 9-5. You host Tennessee 9-3. That could be a SOMIFA showcase game, but you don't want to keep showing the same team. But still, that's a good matchup, right? Tennessee 9-3. And he plays Pittsburgh 7-5 as Ron Martin, and then Dallas 7-5. So he's got some tough clubs in there. I think he's going to lose at least one of those games. I'll give him just the one loss. Dennis is right now racking up tremendous winning percentage in all of his keeper leagues in time. And we know what a great coach he is. So I give him 3-1 here and 13-3 finish. But look, if he ended up 2-2, it wouldn't be astonishing because he's got a tough schedule. Not great, I think, by his own admission. 12-4 would have been a very fine season, I bet he would have said, before the year started. We bring up our infamous preseason predictions. I like when you're online, when you're on the air, and the website you're trying to visit takes forever to load. That's always very helpful. Strat Forum will come down on Saturday at some point. Say it ain't so. My internet. But frustrating. Okay. We have the mid-season show. So you had SOMIFA 28 draft reviews. For 28 stuff. We did our first SOMIFA 28 show a couple of weeks back. I think that was a mid-season show. Here was the season preview. And I think it was the season preview or the draft recap show. They had like 6 or 7 guys like live online. We only have a 24-man league. And the 2 of us were broadcasting, so that was pretty cool. Not so humbled opinion. Not so humble opinion. I need to pause this show one moment. Need to alter my position here. I mute the mic for about 60 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. That wasn't too bad. But I predicted 12-4 for Dennis. He had said 11-5. We're really the only clubs that we predicted ahead of 12-4. We both had Ed at 14-2. He's like only 7-5. And Dennis at 12-4. He had himself at 11-5. Always hard to pick yourself to do super great without sounding like a jackass, I guess. But you can be objective. I think you like your team. You know what your abilities are. There's a way to do it, I suppose. I hope we've done that when possible. I'm pretty self-critical. I'm critical of other people. I'm also critical of myself. So I don't think I'm too self-congratulatory about field. Maybe I get carried away with the coaching, with the draft stuff. Maybe self-congratulatory, but not in every league. Not in AW, where I should be doing a bad job as GM over there. Okay. So I like Dennis to go 13-3, I would say, and be in the mix for the 1 seed. Now, his losses so far to Minnesota and to me, and he's got this big game against Tennessee looming. If Dennis and I get into a tie, beat him head-to-head, so he would lose that. The C game is big. That one, and Mick otherwise runs the table, then Dennis would lose that tiebreaker. So ahead of me, and he needs to beat the Titans, and he'll probably be the number 1 seed. Beating San Diego, who's 9-3. The Jets and Chargers for a minute, because they're an interesting team. They got that fourth quarter game against Dennis looming. So the Titans, it's Mick Bouchon's first year, I think, with this club. Took over the great John Madden club. Made the big Antonio Brown trade. Made a Lamar Miller trade. We started out 7-1. Only went 2-2, as we said, in the third quarter. Now he ends up with 7-5 Giants, who are hot. Bucks and the 4-8 Bears, who do have Matt Ryan. So it might be tough for Mick. I think he'll pick up at least 1 loss. I think it's going to be hard for him to run the table and try to get to 13-3. I mean, because Dennis is real good, Joe's good and playing well. Detroit 6-6, no pushover. Even Chicago's got Matt Ryan, so I think Tennessee will lose a game. And in the mix there, maybe I'll spend more time just quickly looking over these things than spending a lot of time with the stats. Now talking about my Jets, 9-3. I had a 4-0 third quarter. I was very glad for that. I started out 5-3, and I felt like my first half schedule was pretty tough, and that my second half schedule was pretty weak. But I did have Seattle on the schedule, but that's really it in terms of the real top teams. So I beat the Dolphins. Dolphins having a disappointing season for Dan. I think Dennis had him 8-8. I think I had him 9-7. And yeah, right now he's 5-7. So he's actually got an uphill battle even to meet those expectations. So neither of them were really for the playoffs. So I thought he would probably have a better year. I'm not sure. But anyway, I beat Dan 34-16. I think I had a lot of luck in that game, if I recall correctly. Beat Dennis in a close game, 23-17. I had a lot of bad luck against Buffalo, but managed to hold on. And I had a little bit of bad luck against Lawrence, but held on 23-13. Some of my tougher games were against teams with 1 win down there. I already lost to Tampa Bay with 3-9. So, but I went 4-0 to hit the 9-3. With this team, because they did not have the statistical profile of a 9-3 team. So that's why I bring this up, because I happen to know, because it's my team. Putting a little distance in the yardage between me and the opponent, but only 270 yards ahead of the opponent. That's not a lot. The opponent, and a lot of these numbers are similar. I mean, the opponent's got more first downs. The opponent's got 20 yards more time of possession. The same. Red zone efficiency is only 4% in my favor. So 270 yards up. Maybe I win in a turnover battle big time? No. I'm -5 in turnovers. I've turned the ball over 22 times. I've received 17. So I'm not sure, how you could say why is this team 9-3. Maybe luck. I don't know. Andrew, I have been doing much better on special teams. My kickoff return average as a team looks like it's about, let's see. So they should do the team totals here on like an ESPN website. They have the players and then the team total. But I didn't even give the average. It's under 30 yards. It's at least 25 yards. 25, 35. I'm averaging about 26 yards per kick return. My opponent is averaging under 20 yards per kick return. So that's like a 7-yard difference per non-touchback kickoff. Okay. And then, my punter's averaging 3 yards better than the opponent. And my punt returns are averaging about 10 and a half yards of return, while the opponent is at 4.5 yards of return. And finally, some distance from scrimmage starting to make a difference for this team. Here, 58.5% completed. 14 interceptions, 7.2 average gain, 2,800 yards in 12 games. So it's like 200 and 438 divided by 12. That's like 40. He's on pace to end up with about 3,700 yards. I've thrown the ball 100 times more than I passed it almost. Feels like I've been running more than usual, but maybe that's just because usually I pass a lot more than usual. I don't know. I feel like my defense has been playing much better. Season they were doing very poorly. But when I look at the team totals here, number 4 in the league in scoring, 25 points a game. 8, since we just mentioned them. But defensively, look at this. I'm only 15th in the league in opponent defense. I'm below average. I'm on the Vikings. I'm on the Rams, the Wayne's rebuilding team. 21.5. So I got to figure out how to do a little better defensively. It doesn't help. -5 turnover differential. 21st in the league. That is 21st in the league. And I'm the only team in the bottom 7 that has a winning record, and I'm 9-3. It's like I'm 7-5. Almost everyone down here has a losing record. I mean, Buffalo, Kansas City, Denver, Tampa Bay, Philly. The guys near the top of the draft, the Jets are sitting there, even though we're 9-3. So we've got to work on some ball security. Opponent passer rating, I'm 15th in the league. Opponent passing yardage, I'm 15th in the league. But opponent rating is 82.7, which is worse than the league average of 80.4. So I'm below average in that. The run defense isn't doing too bad, thank God. But not exactly great. They're 9th in the league, 118 yards a game, and a 4.6 average. The league average is 4.8. I've been doing it with mirrors. I know it's a pretty good team. They're overachieving. It's a pretty good team. Just funny that the stats don't really show it. So maybe I'm getting lucky. Only plus 42 in point differential. My 3 losses are by 29, 14, and 14. So my 3 losses in points a game. So if I lose, I lose badly. And then I don't have too many blowout victories. I don't have a bunch of close victories either. I got a 4-point victory, and I got a 4-point victory, a 5-point victory, and 2 6-point victories. And everything else is always 10 points or more. I don't know. I don't know what to make out of it. But anyway, my remaining schedule, I play Chicago 4-8, 5 with Brian Hoyer, Philly 4-8, and Detroit 6-6. And normally it's just hard to say, but the team's pretty good but not great. So it's hard to look at those teams and say, oh yeah, you're going to run the table. 7-5, 6-6, 4-8, 4-8. You think, oh, 9-3 club should run the table, but I feel like it's hard to do that. You feel like you're going to lose one of these games. Get some bad breaks. The other guy's a good game. Guy coaches well, whatever. But I am going to try hard to win all 4 of these games. I've gone full spreadsheet since the opening day debacle against the Buccaneers when I lost 37-8, and I had no answer for Dak Prescott. Since then, I've gone full spreadsheet, which I think is defense, and I'm going to do that for each of these last 4 games and see if I can finish 13-3 and make Dennis have to go perfect. I mean, a shot at the number 1 seed. I have not played the Titans, but I have played the Chargers, and I beat him. So if there's any kind of tiebreaker with involving San Diego and Seattle, okay. And let's look at the San Diego, who I foolishly predicted to go 7-9. Dennis predicted 9. It predicted also because TJ's had some disappointing seasons in the past. Team started out 5-3, no big deal, not looking like world beaters, and they had a perfect third quarter. Really good victories in here. Look, he beat Tennessee, that was 7-1. Beat 34-26. That's a 9-win club. Beat the defending champion Bengals. Jay Billings led 31-30. He also had surprisingly close games against Detroit, 31-24, and Buffalo, 19-13. But you see 34, 31, 31, 9-3, and fighting for the number 1 seed. And I don't think and he lost to Seattle, and he lost to me. So it might be more reasonable for TJ to look at maybe the number 3 seed as maybe his high watermark. This is the highest scoring team in the league. He's averaging 28.2 points a game. So he's averaging a touchdown a game more than league average, and he's a couple points ahead of the next guy, Dennis, at 26.1. And the Chargers were once renowned for the defense. They're number 16 in the league in defense. As again, the offensive teams innings this year, although while Dennis, of course, has number 1 defense as well, but a lot of the teams with really good offense have had better records. Defensive teams in this particular season, I think that changes from time to time. But DJ is giving up 23 points per game. Talk about the Chargers, you have to think about Tom Brady. I'm not going to look at too many stats, but let me see what Mr. Brady is doing. He missed a half of football against my team, for which I was very grateful. Otherwise, I probably would have lost. But he's thrown for nearly 3,000 yards, so he's on pace for a 4,000-yard season. He's completed 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 90 rating. O-Matic. 20, so he's on pace for 20 touchdowns in 12 games. Is like 2 1/3. 7 touchdowns. That's very impressive. And he has a good point differential. Now he plays in the fourth quarter. Green Bay, Atlanta, 8-4, Indianapolis, 6-6, and Miami, 5-7, but still a tough club. Dan is +2 in point differential so far. The defense playing real well down there in Miami. So it will be interesting to see what TJ can do here. 3-4, it could maybe only split. I think he might only split. This is kind of a tough. The offense gets a little one-dimensional in San Diego. The secondary is great. The rest of the defense, He's done a great job to get them to 9-3. Probably one of his better coaching jobs. But if you're TJ, boy, you'd like to finish up strong, win at least 3-4. Get to a solid 12-4. Get yourself a 3 or 4 seed, hopefully, and a bye in a home game. You want to be home for the playoffs in SOMIFA. The difference between the average pass defense cards and the good pass defense cards is significant. It doesn't mean you can't win a road game, but it's a pretty nice home field advantage, pretty decent home field advantage. So, but yeah, if he splits and it falls to 11-5, I think then you're looking at maybe a 5 or 6 seed. You're on the road. You may have to play a wild card game. All kinds of difficulties. So, Indigo. I'll talk about the Titans. I think I've got Seattle 13-3. I think I've got Tennessee 12-4. TG either 11-5 or 12-4. I'm going to press hard to try to go perfect in the fourth quarter and see if I can. Well, I want to be one of the top two seeds. I don't really care if I'm first or second, but I want to be one of the top two seeds because then you're home for every game, every playoff game until the Super Bowl, which is neutral anyway. You can't possibly be on the road. And actually, looking at the standings here, I think there's a difference here. I think I want to play Tennessee or Cincinnati. Is my first playoff game. Nothing against Ron Dickinson or Joe Golden or but maybe Green Bay, the Giants, Dallas. I'd rather play those teams, I think, just in terms of where the teams are. So 1 or 2 seed, I think, is pretty important this year, looking at it as we look at this potential playoff scenario. Houston's a team I do not want to play. Paul Mankiewicz 7-5. My offense did not match up well with the defense he's using this year. And how is his defense doing? We're hopping around a little bit, but you want to hop around, do your own show. Houston is number 2 in defense. 17.1 points a game allowed. I bet he's a ton of sacks because he's got hellacious pass rush on the team. Interesting is he's actually only in the league in passing yards against, but he does a very fine 77.8 rating. Dennis has an obscene 61.5. But we do have only 28 sacks for the Texans. I thought it would be higher. It is second in the league, though. Detroit's first, which has helped them have the number 5 defense in yards per game allowed against the pass. As the run defense is allowing 5 yards a carry, number 16. Quick look at Detroit there. But so I thought Houston would be a little bit. Houston's actually very good against the run. Look at this. You got defensive tackle 6s. So it makes it a little tough to run in that team. He's giving up 107 yards a game with 4.5 average. The league average is 4.8. So teams that are doing better than league average, teams that are doing better than 4.5, Miami at 4.3, Kansas City, one of the worst teams in the league, at 4.0. 0.5 is tied for third best in the league. The Chiefs' pass defense must be brutal. Let's see. It's the offense. He's 21st in pass defense, allowing 227 yards a game, 89 rating. But the offense is second to last. Yeah, 23rd in the league. And 23rd in the league in turnovers. That'll hurt you. That'll put you near the bottom of the standings, which is where Lawrence is, but he's patiently draft picks, very high draft picks, and building a team. He's doing that in a couple leagues. My model, I guess. If you're going to be bad, might as well be very bad. I got a very high pick, I suppose. You still play to win, of course. Well, I mean, that SSFA team is so bad when they rebuilt that they couldn't win a game. 0-16. I was trying. When your leading running backs have a 3.1 average on the card, and you're using a rookie NFL quarterback card, it could be tough. And 0s and 4s all around the defense. But anyway, they were winless. The Chargers there, so they could possibly be passed by one of these teams looking to jump up and grab a top 4 seed, make sure they're home, make sure they get a bye. The Bengals have already played the first fourth quarter opponent and the defending champion. There were 3 teams that started this quarter 8-4. Solid performance from Jay, like you expect. You got a team that's number 6 in scoring and number 13 in defense. Again, it's the offense carrying the day. Outside of Seattle, there are 2 offense in the league, but it's the offense carrying the day for a lot of these teams. Interesting that Ed is only 7-5. I just noticed he's 3rd in the league, 25.6 points a game. 3rd in the league in points allowed, 17.3 points a game. Average point differential is 8.3. He's 100 points better than his opponent. Yet he's only 7-5. He's number one in the league in plus minus, plus 11. He kicked to beat him with like 1:52 to go easily. But that's another team nobody wants to play the playoffs. So why is this team only 7-5? Let's take a quick look. We're hopping around a little bit, but as things come up, Dan actually getting outgained in time of possession. Likes to run the ball, and now he is third in scoring, but only seventh in yardage. Before rushing attack in the league, 155 yards a game. And number 7 rushing defense in the league. So why is he losing time of possession? 3.4 completed with a 6.2 average gain. So many guys are dinking and dunking down the field against him. Whereas the offense, he's completing less than half his passes. The league average is 60.3%. Ed's completing 49.7 for 74 rating. He's the only team that's completing less than half his passes. Possession is hurting him. He's not sustaining drive. He's going for the big plays. And you see some good averages here, 16.8 for Gronk and 16.2 for Brian Quick and only 10 catches. Dante Adams. Interesting. Run it, and throw it deep. I mentioned in the mid-season show that I thought Joe Golden should consider using Alex Smith against inferior teams. And Smith did not have a lot of attempts in the first 8 games of the season. And attempts, it looks like he's been using Alex a little more. In the third quarter, he got 100 attempts. Denver's a struggling team. She figured maybe Alex Smith could have got in there. 17 passes for Alex, only 9 for Kaepernick, and 2 rushes for Kaepernick. So he used both guys. They both had a rating of over 120. So good job there. Offense, a game that he won 23-14. For Cap, 7 for Alex Smith. So Smith looks like he's just being used situationally. That Kaepernick is still the head guy, Arizona, who is at 2-10 right now, and Joe had a hard time with him. 14-10. That's what's good about SOMIFA. It's like the NFL that way. You know, maybe not the 1-11 teams, but 3-9, 4-8. They can give you a hard game, like the Jets did in the NFL to the Saints yesterday. At the end, boy, you only had 230 yards offense in this game. It was mostly Alex Smith, 13 of 22. Pick. I don't know if Cap got intercepted, got injured in that game. Interesting. Playing against the Colts. 2-18 victory. You had 25 attempts for Alex Smith, only 2 for Cap. So a quarterback controversy in the Meadowlands. Is Alex Smith now the starter for this team by default? Not by default, but as you want, is he the default starter now? Has he won the job? Is Kaepernick the man? Well, look at the stats. Alex Smith's got a 91.6 rating. Cap's is 70. Cap does have a 4.7 rushing average and 76 attempts. Yards rushing at 1.8 average. 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions for Cap. 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Smith. I think I know who the fans want to see. Mix them both in to good effect, but interesting to see a couple of games in the third quarter were largely Alex Smith games. We could even see in the block Well, the Miami game was his last game, and he used Cap more. The Denver game, he used Cap a fair amount. So, yeah, interesting. The first two, and then Cap more in the last two. So I guess it's going to depend upon the opponent and what type of matchup, which is a good coaching skill. Going to see for the Dallas Cowboys, Craig Morton, Roger Staubach, shuttle players in and out of the sideline. For Coach Landy to realize that I'm good and Craig Morton isn't. And he gave Staubach the job. 21 season, and the Cowboys went on to dominate behind Roger the Dodger in Super Bowl. Yes, Super Bowl 6, 27-10, I believe. No, that's 27-10, as I think their victory over Denver later on in the 70s. A good, convincing victory over Miami. I think Bob Lilly had the 27-yard sack of Bob Greasy in that game. A bit here. So Cincinnati 9-4, already beat the Bengals. The Bengals already beat the Chiefs. And the rest of his schedule plays Houston 7-5, tough team, good team. Plays Miami 5-7, but still a good team. Plays Minnesota 7-5, a spunky group of guys, overachieving. A points differential. Dennis had them right. Dennis had them eight than I did. I had them 5-11. So Dale does not want to hear 8-8 right now. He wants to at least 9-7. More. Hopefully 10-6. But the Bengals already played the Chiefs. Then the Bengals are 9-4. Minnesota 7-5. As I clicked on them inadvertently, Miami 5-7. 7-5. So I think there'll be a loss in there somewhere. You know, there's a potential to see. This is a very competitive season. I mean, Jay could run the table or lose the game. See any of those things reasonably happening. It's a very competitive season. But he's 9-4. He wins 2 out of 3, gets to 11-5. I'm sure he's going to push hard for 12-4. But I think 11-5. I've seen this team in action. They seem to be missing a little something. But I'm gonna. Is it maybe a consistent ground threat? They're number 10 in the league and an overall offense, that is. They're number 16 in the league in rushing yardage. And you might think, well, you know what? They're throwing a lot. They're having success. Maybe he's got a good average. He's only averaging 4.4 yards a carry. The league average is 4.8. You know, if you're going to be a team that doesn't carry the ball as often, you like to exceed the league average in rushing. Running as often, I should do better than average. And he is doing worse than average. He's running. This average is not accurate on there, but the average carries. But looks like he's not running as often as most teams. Doesn't even have 300 carries yet, and he's averaging fewer yards per carry. So that's not good. Putting a lot on the shoulders of Derek Carr, who seems to be playing well. As Jay's club is 4th in the league in quarterback passer rating. It actually looks like they might have the number 1 offensive yardage. You know, San Diego's at 254.8. But Jay's at about 231, which is second best in the league. And you see it's at 62% completed, 6.9 average gain, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Yeah, why would you run the ball more? You know, you can. It's a very consistent looking approach there. So 9-4 for Jay. I think he'll drop a game. He'll drop a game, go 11-5. And let's see if any other clubs can. I think will run the table and get to 12-4. Let's look at the Falcons. Very exciting team. LaShawn McCoy and Jordan Reed and T.Y. Hilton. Next year, they'll have DeAndre Hopkins with a much better card, a tremendous card. Loosely traded them away because I don't want to hurt feelings. Bad move. I should have heard your feelings, Nathan. But whatever. I was supposed to get Tom Brady. It's a long story, which you have probably heard or read. I need to lament my decision. Atlanta's 8-4. And look at the offense. Kirk Cousins, 61% completed, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,400 yards. Not even 200 a game. Well, LaShawn McCoy, 9 rushing. So he's, Willis McGahee, like 2,400 yards is what he's looking at with a 6-yard average and 12 touchdowns. Cousins rating at 84.5. But for all the offense, he's still only plus 241 in yardage. And let's see how the offense is actually performing. I think his early schedule was favorable. In scoring, 24.9 points a game, right behind my Jets and ahead of Jay's Bengals. 10 in the league, 19.6. So defense doing better, I think, than I would have thought. Yardage from scrimmage, number 5 in the league. And defensively, number 13 in the league. The defense looking there. A little bit -1. And you'd like to be, of course, always plus a couple. Defense is doing, it's a pass. Atlanta's 18th in the league in opponent yards per game at 216. They are averaging, or allowing the league average, basically, 80.2 passer rating, thanks to 16 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So it's a good number of touchdowns. Low. Only has 3 sacks. Uncharacteristic for Nathan, but he just doesn't have the pass rush right now. Against the run, he's got the 8th best run defense in the league. 117 yards, and averaging per carry, and 8 touchdowns, which is tied for the best mark in the league. So looks like he's doing a good job keeping the team on. And then you can see red zone efficiency, 78% for Nathan's offense for the defense. So he's doing a nice job there. A little bit of bend but don't break, and the yardage isn't bad. So this is a very dangerous team. Good things for them. They're kind of scary to play 11-5. We both predicted. Coy, you got receiving targets. And he's won 3 of his last 4. Started out 5. Started out only 2-2. Back-to-back 3-1 quarters to get to this 8-4 mark. As he barely beat Minnesota 14-12. Down 30-23. Beat the rebuilding Rams handily 28-13. And then lost handily to Dennis 30-13. So his losses have been to Dallas by 1, Indianapolis by 14. Cincinnati 34-13, and barely to Dennis 30-13. I would think that would not bode well for him to go deep in the playoffs if that's how the team played against a couple of the better teams and coaches in the league. Wins against top teams. He gave Tennessee their only loss in the first half of the season. And otherwise, some games against some 7-5 teams, but the top. So interesting. And then he ends up with Buffalo, who's only got 1 win. 9-3. That could be a SOMIFA showcase game. San Francisco 7-5 is tough, and Houston 7-5 is tough. So tough fourth quarter for Nathan. You got to give him the win against Buffalo at 9-4, and then San Diego, San Fran, and Houston. Again, it's a very competitive year. I mean, Nathan will probably either go 2-1 or 1-2, and you're looking at probably 10-6 or 11-5, and maybe around a 6 seed, somewhere around there, depending on the tiebreakers. And he might be mixed in with San Francisco and Houston trying to get better seeding. So those games will be big as well. 3-4 defense, 5-5-4, 4-4-4-5, 5. Done a nice job coaching this defense. I'm interesting to see what happens. And like Dennis and I talked about during the midseason show, have got flaws. None of these teams looks as good, I would say, as like those SOMIFA teams that Dennis and I both had. He was undefeated in the regular season that year. We've seen some great SSFA teams. My team that lost the Super Bowl was really like, people looked at the team like, oh, Jesus, Peyton Manning and Marshawn Lynch, like in their prime, and then like really good players everywhere else. So we've seen some real good teams. And then this year, I'm not saying these teams aren't good, but this year it's like all the good teams seem to have flaws as well-rounded or as complete. You know, and Atlanta, they're 8-4, but the defense looks like it could be a little bit of a liability. But the offense is explosive since he's having trouble running the ball. You know, and even just when you look at the club's record, just look at them like you're going to play them, and you see that the super strength isn't there. So, I mean, it could be an interesting year for someone to win a championship. Dennis, I look, the other 3 9-3 teams are me, TJ, and Mick. None of us has a SOMIFA title. And well, Mick just joined. You know, Nathan doesn't have a SOMIFA title. Green Bay doesn't have one, I don't think. Ron Dickinson. So it could be a year for someone to, with a lot of closeness at the top among the teams. It could be a year for someone to grab their first SOMIFA championship. But I can guarantee you that Dennis sitting there, and then with the number 1 seed right now, and Jay at 9-4, and Ed at 7-5, but itching to get in the playoffs to make some noise. You know, half man, half Mankiewicz, those guys are not going to just roll over. You know, let one of the other guys win. Sure, why not? Play dead. So if you get there and you win it, you definitely have earned it. It'll be interesting. So you got Nathan's club there. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to move for either this year. Let's get Green Bay, the last of the 8-4 teams. And a team that I think is overachieving. He's a very good coach. I know more from the old-fashioned style of play with the IFL franchise that Tim Bollier runs. They kind of co-founded. It's a long story. 10-6. I had them only at 9-7. So Dennis is again more accurate with the predicting than I was. Green Bay 8-4. Very nice job. It was actually 6-2, and I think I saw they had a tough schedule coming. I think I may have off. If I didn't, okay, sue me. You know, I'm trying to remember for the midseason show. I'm getting older. Can't remember things as well as I once did when I was a young whippersnapper. Third quarter, he lost to Tampa Bay. That's a tough one. 21-20 as Tim plays a bit of spoiler here. Tim is 3-9. So he outgained by like 100 points. But his victories, but 2 of his victories are against me and Ron, or I should say against Ron Dickinson and me. 4-9-3, so that feels nice. For Tim, it's gonna be bad. At least I got, and it seems pretty bad. At least I got a couple of victories against some top teams. So the Pack lost 21-20 to Tampa Bay. Lost 20-7 to the Rams. Jeez, Ron. He lost. You're 6-2. You want to make. You want to do well. You want to get a good seed. And he lost to teams that are 3-9 and 4-8. And those are bad teams. I played Tampa Bay. I don't think I played the Rams. Remember, it's a rebuilding team. We're getting a massive shot in the arm with Carson Wentz next year. I don't think his card will be as great as people might think. He only completed about 61%. But still, he is a quarterback, and right now he has none. So Wayne has to be very happy about that. So Green Bay loses to Tampa Bay and the Rams. So crazy game this year. I mean, Green Bay on 6-2, having a nice season. Cool. I can play the Rams and Buccaneers. get to 8-2, and then see what happens. But no, he loses to those guys. Then he beats the previously 7-1 Titans with a very good team, 27-22. And he beats the tough Miami team, 24-7. So 2-2 the hard way. Could have gone 3-1. So he's going to rue the day that he lost those games, I think, to the Bucs and Rams. So he's 8-4. And he's playing San Diego 9-3, Chicago 4-8, Buffalo 1-11, and Minnesota 7-5. This is the Ryan Tannehill team. So Ron's got a good chance to go 3-1 and get to 11-5 on the table as well. And again, so I think you see hard for these guys to get to 12-4. And I've predicted a couple of the 9-3 teams to get to at least 12-4. So hard for one of these guys to jump up, I say. Cincinnati probably has the best chance. And how do they do it? And lost to San Diego. So if there's a lot of Jim at 11-5 at all, could have an 11-5 log jam. To 4, 5, and 6. You want to be home, get that good. You want to get a bye. The 4-5 game is usually a tough game. So Green Bay is 11th in the league in scoring, 23 points a game. 5th in the league in defense, 18.6 points a game. So a very sort of consistent approach. Number 8 in yards per game from scrimmage. Number 11 in defense. Again, the offense being the strong unit on so many clubs that have a good record this year. Offense wins championships? Maybe. Only +1 turnovers to Green Bay. Most of the teams, look, almost the whole league is between +3 and -3. It's a 2014 league. Half the league is between +3 and -3 turnovers cumulative for the season. One-win teams, the Chiefs and Bills near the bottom, combining for -31 in plus-minus. That'll get you a better draft position, that's for sure. So this Packer team is definitely interesting. They don't look that great on paper. So 8-4 is good, I would say. I think I mentioned earlier, Dennis had him 10-6, I had him 9-7. He's actually doing worse on third down efficiency. That's rare for a good team. 1%. Fourth down is even worse, 29% to 55%. Same. He's outgaining the opponent by about 50 yards a game, roughly. He's got a balanced attack, actually running slightly more than passing, has a 5.5 rushing average. So see, because he's running so well, Tannell's probably throwing it wrong more often. 66.6 completed, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 7.1 average. But Ron's averaging 5.5 yards a carry on the ground. Thompson. What if he's the best rushing attack in the league? Number 3. At Seattle and Ingram, you got Green Bay, 1, 2, 3. You got 5 teams averaging 150 yards or more a game. They're 8-4, 10-2, and 8-4. The next 2 are only 7-5. And Joe Golden was only 7-5 as of these stats. So how does the passing compare in game? Those is by passer rating. Yeah, it's getting tired. It's getting late. That's a hell of a job when you're averaging 5.5 yards a carry as a team, and you're throwing it, and you have almost 2,000 yards rushing through 12 games a game. And on the defensive side, this club struggling a little against the pass with yardage, 210 yards allowed a game, but a 78.2 opponent passer rating. That's above average. Only 9 interceptions. You'll like to see that number higher, 15-9. But he's giving a 59.3 is better than league average with a very pesky 5.8 average gain. So pass defense is doing pretty well. He has only 12 sacks. He's doing pretty well also. 7th in the league, 113 yards allowed per game. Only a 4.5 average, 4.8 to league average, only 9 rushing touchdowns. So I always think of Ron as a defensive guy. Both Rons, really. But I definitely think of Ron Dickinson as a defensive guy. Doing a nice job here with this team. And we're looking at, boy, he's going to beat Buffalo 9-4. Should beat Chicago, could get into 10-4. Probably split there. It's probably 11-5 for the Pack. Then you get down to these 7-5 teams, and I got to say, first of all, 5. If we look at these standings right here, he dispatched Lawrence's Chiefs 26-3. So let's do the Giants first, 8-5. He's won 5 straight games. Now he's got to play Tennessee, Buffalo, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. I mean, boy, you got to play Kansas City. He's got 2 of the wins there. Buffalo and Tampa Bay have combined for 4 wins so far. 1 win for the Bills and 3 wins for the Bucs. So Joe should win those games, get to 10-5, and see what happens against Tennessee. I think 10-6 playoff appearance, he'll take it. Probably play the wild card round. And let's see, we got the Dallas Cowboys. 7-5, not a great team on paper. Zeb, as we have said many times now, the reason I'm glad I did this year-by-year grid, because you can really see how good guys have done. Zeb, his first season in the league, he's never had a losing season. Never. Okay? 11 straight seasons. Only twice did he finish 8-8. He's made the playoffs 9 out of 11 seasons. And the other 2 times he was 8-8. He's made the Super Bowl twice. A few years ago. With that great Josh McCown card from Cleveland that he drafted in the first round. He was supposed to not be that good. Maybe he's finally going to finish under 500. But Dennis predicted 10-6. I predicted 9-7. Not picking anymore, but predicting him to lose more than he wins until he does it. Yeah, Mariota's a quarterback. Derrick Henry, center. A cast of thousands running the ball. It seems like. This team only 7-5, so the team stats won't be as favorable as they were for the teams with better records usually. Number 13 league in scoring, but number 6 in the league in defense. Zeb, pretty straightforward. Right? A bit of a Jay Villing style. Zeb and Jay have kind of a similar style. I mean, you get kind of a solid all-around team, not doing anything too fancy. You know, let me just mix up my play calling. And they, and they win a lot more than they lose. So it works for those guys. And this defense, 6th in points scored. Look at this. Despite being 14th in yards allowed, 4 in turnovers. That's 6th best in the league, believe it or not. Don't do anything crazy. Don't take ridiculous chances. And you see what's happening. Pretty solid performance. This team's being outgained from scrimmage. Being outgained from scrimmage, but third down efficiency, 41-35. Efficiency is actually being outdone as well, 66-70. Now, you're always having a bad year. Only a 69 rating, 52% completed. Receptions. He's like a bad year in the NFL. Came out of nowhere. He is having a good rushing year for Zeb. 435 yards, 6.4 of the must-run variety. Zeb has more runs than passes. Probably a few of those are linebuckers. 5, this team lost to Chicago, a tough loss, 27-20. The 4-8 Bears playing for pride, and Matt Ryan's got a great card. Beat the Chiefs, who have one win, 15-7. Beat Pittsburgh, 19-10. 6-6, 27-6. Fourth quarter, got to play Philadelphia, 4-8. Houston, 7-5. Miami, 5-7. Seattle, 10-2. Possible Zeb loses 3-4 and finishes only 8-8. We'll see a split. I think Seattle's just a tough matchup. The team is so good compared to this one. Both guys can coach. I think he loses that game 7-6, beats the Eagles 8-6, and maybe splits. That gets you to 9-7, and hopefully at least the mini playoffs. The Houston Texans only plus 19 in point differential. I talked about his defense, but his offense is struggling despite the presence of Drew Brees and Le'Veon Bell. That offensive line, I recall, is not strong for the Texans. But this team is number 16 in points scored, only 18.7 per game, unlike Paul. But number 2 in defense per game. As you mentioned earlier, number 2 in sacks with 28. So it's not like he's getting sacks left and right. It's on pace for 40. It's a good number. The run, number 3 against the run, including a 4.5 average. I do not want to play this team, as I mentioned earlier. Though Paul was 6-2 and dropped 3-4 in un-Paul-like fashion. Beat Tampa Bay, you should. I didn't, but you should. 27-20. Lost to Pittsburgh on Martin, 31-24. It's a good team. And it's easily 38-14. And this is a tough one to take. Lost to Philadelphia, 4-8 team, 17-10. But Paul's team is kind of weird. Like, they're a tough matchup for me, but other teams I think might have an easier time with them. He's got a hellacious pass rush. But if you've got good pass blocking, like if you're a wall of sevens guy, I think you're going to give him a hard time. And that's what happened when he lost 38-14. And San Francisco, he lost 23-6. Rest of the way, the 7-5 club has got Cincinnati, 9-4. Atlanta, 8-4. That could be a showcase game. And the Rams, 4-8. So you give him a win of the Rams game, get it 8-5. And he might only be 9-7. He might only split go 9-7, or it might get to 10-6. So it'll be interesting to watch what's going on there with Paul. Minnesota 7-5. I didn't like the team coming into the season. I think at 5-11. Dennis chose 8-8. And again, he's more right here than I am. The team is 7-5. Started out 2-2. And 3 out of 4 in the second quarter games, and then only split this quarter. It beat Arizona 30-24, beat Tampa Bay 27-10, lost to the Rams, who were pulling off some upsets left and right, 15-7, lost a close 14-12 game to Atlanta. And Minnesota's had a very easy schedule. I remember saying that from the midpoint, for the midseason show. Kansas City's got only 1 win. The Jets, my team, 9-3. Cincinnati, 9-4. And Green Bay, 8-4. So the schedule's getting tougher in a hurry. He's got to win the Kansas City game to get to 8-5. One of these teams. At least. You know, and this is a club that's gotten the most out of it. He's done a good job. Brian Hoyer, quarterback, it's actually not a bad card. But Jordan Howard is the key. Because with Jordan Howard, people are going to call runs. You're going to get some guess wrong passing. You see Hoyer's got a 92.6 rating, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And completing 65% of his passes, only a 6.3 average game. Looks like Amari Cooper goes deep and everyone else stays underneath. Defensively, he's getting killed against the pass, it looks like. Because he's given up almost 600 more yards of offense. But he's +9 in turnovers, one of the best marks in the league. And that's been a key for him. But boy, this pass defense, those numbers don't look good. is number 10 in scoring on offense, 14th in defense. So more profile of a 500 team. They are 7-5. Boy, offensively, they have 19 in the league in offense. Wow. 23rd. 19th in offense, 23rd on defense in yardage. But they're 7-5. Shows you how important turnovers are because he's +9 in turnovers. And just on pass defense alone, this team is 20th in the league in yardage at 225 allowed per game, but an 85.5 rating when the league average is 80.4, so that's not that good. And there are teams worse with yardage. He's giving up 66.4 completed. That is the worst mark in the league. But only 6.5 average game, which is a little below average. 11 sacks, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So that's not awful. And personnel-wise, it's a 4-3 defense. I think this is why as big on them, or me particularly, was 5-4-4-5 in the line, goes 4-5-4 linebacker, 5 at the secondary. And you can West Coast this team, and the 5s aren't going to shut you down in the secondary if you have a decent passing game. This team's having some problems on that side of the ball, even though they're 7-5 and the scoring that is not that bad. I mean, 252 is slightly better than league average, so they're doing a nice job there. Let's see but this fourth quarter is tough. He's going to get to 8-5 if he beats the Chiefs. He's got to win 2 out of 3 against the Jets, Packers, and Bengals to make the playoffs. In one game, maybe get the mini playoffs. I think he will get one game in there. So I think he'll finish 9-7. I think he'll lose to Jay, and he'll get either me or Ron. And finish 9-7. So it looks like you might have a few teams 9-7 for the mini playoffs. Still got 2 more 7-5 teams to go. This is endless teams. Pittsburgh 7-5. I liked them a lot more before the season started. They were my Super Bowl pick. My Super Bowl champion pick. I had him beating me in the Super Bowl 27-13. I had him 11-5. Dennis had him 10-6. Again, Dennis closer to right than I am. Team 7-5. We're only 4-4 after a surprising 1-3 start to the season. It's a surprising 1-3 start to the season. He won 3 out of 4 in the second block to get to 500, and then repeated the feat. A game to inch 2 games over 500 at 7-5. He beat the Texans. It's a good win, 31-24. Beat Philly 34-16. Beat the Bears 26-13. Another 4-win team. 19-10. 1+2 in point differential for Ron. He's 7-5, and we go into the fourth quarter. This team's got Aaron Rodgers and Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, so you see why I picked them to do well in the postseason. He's going to play Indianapolis at 6-6. Denver we haven't spoken about yet, 5-7. Seattle 10-2. Arizona 2-10. So he should be able to win 3 games. I mean, if you say he loses to Seattle and beats Arizona and Denver, that's 9-6, and you got the Indy game. So Ron's got some work to do, but he's got a path to win 3 out of 4 again. And then have a very dangerous team in the postseason. Another team you don't want to face, like Aaron Rodgers, Ezekiel Elliott, decent receivers, not the greatest in the world. 6-4-6 on the line. 5-4-4-5 at linebackers. You got safety. You got corner 6s. Strong safety 0, free safety 4. That can be a tough team. And I see 10-6 in his future. Now the commissioner scoring 100 points more than the opponent something that is only, it was 10-2, and yet Ed is 7-5. Had some tough breaks, I'm sure. Started out 1-3. When those times Ed started season 1-3. He had bad luck against me. Should have won that game. I recovered an onside kick just inside of 2 minutes, and then went on for the winning score. But he played 9. He played me 9-3. Played Jay 9-4. Played Tennessee 9-3, and Dallas 7-5. That was his opening block of games. He went 1-3. He should have been 2-2. Then he came back and went 3-4 in the second block of games, but he lost to the Rams, a 4-8 Rams team. That's not Ed's style. Well, that is a very good team. It's a team losing to a rebuilding team. But he bounced back with another from that defeat. It was a 3-1 second quarter. He had another 3-1 quarter here in the third, beating Chicago 34-20, manhandling the Chiefs 44-3, destroying Arizona 34-8. But then a 9-3 loss to Miami. Oh, man. You go 3-1 in the block, okay? Just go 34, 34, and 44 in your 3 victories. All right? So in your 3 victories, you scored points. In your three victories, and then you managed a field goal. And you lose 9-3. You didn't get blown out like 31-3. You're scoring points left and right, and you get only a field goal. Oh, it's maddening. That's funny. And funny for us, but maddening for Red. So the fourth quarter block of games, 10-2. Seattle's got a tough schedule. Every game they play is like a showcase potential. Seattle 10-2, Detroit 6-6, Atlanta 8-4, Indianapolis 6-6. So not an easy one again. The chance he goes only 2-2. It makes the mini playoffs, but the commissioner usually comes through when he has to. I'm going to give him 3-4. He'll find a way. But we'll see what happens. I mean, when's the last time Ed missed the playoffs? That would be way back in 2002, the first season of the league. Ed missed the playoffs. He must have been slacking off. So Ed, we talked about Jeb, has never missed the playoffs going back to 2005. Ed has never missed the playoffs going back to 2003. And not only that, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's appeared in 7 Super Bowls, including last season, with 4 victories. So he got 7 Super Bowl appearances in 14 seasons. So it was like the Brady Patriots here. And he won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. 2010. And then lost it the year after. So that's all I get a chance to go at least 3-1 based upon a track record. It was 9-7 3 years ago. It's been 10 wins or better every time. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he goes 3-1 and gets to 10-6. And we already delved into his stats some. So that's it for the 7-5 teams. So take a quick look at the 6-6, 5-7. See if I think any of these teams can make it to 9 or 10 wins. Detroit, that's Bradley Miller. Dennis had him 8-8. I had him 9-7. He's 6-6. He likes to hear that. If you listen to this whole thing, which you might not. But the Lions, hey, look, they're 6-6. They started 1-3. Bounced back with a 3-1 second quarter, but then went only with 2-2 in the third quarter. They defeat the Rams 28-20. They defeated Chicago 24-17. So defeat to losing teams. They lost to the Chargers 31-24 and Dallas 27-6. And let's see if that's been a pattern all season. They beat Philadelphia, Miami, and Arizona. So he does not have a win against a winning team. 6-6. His losses were to Indianapolis, Houston, Green Bay, Minnesota. As I said, San Diego and Dallas. Tough to make the playoffs if you lose to every winning team you face. And if you get there, I don't know how much you're going to do, but Detroit plays Denver and 7-5, Tennessee 9-3, and the Jets 9-3. So tough quarter for Bradley. I don't think he's going to make it. I think 7-9. It looks like it's likely. Things they got Phillip Rivers and I think David Johnson. He started out 2-2 in the first quarter, then 2-2 in the second quarter, and just to mix things up, he went 2-2 in the third quarter as he defeated the 1-win Bills and the 1-win Chiefs. That's no way to garnish your resume in the coaches poll. And they lost to Denver, who's only 5-7, and the Giants, who are surging. Early wins for the Colts included games over Miami. Dallas is 7-5. Atlanta is 8-4. And Detroit were lost games to Arizona, Minnesota, the Texans, a close one in Green Bay that's probably hurting him, and the aforementioned Broncos and Giants. This team plays Pittsburgh, the 1-win Rams, San Diego, and the 49ers. They can go 8-8, 7-9. I think is more likely. So I don't think either of these 6-6 teams are going to do much. Or the mini playoffs. I mean, I think I liked all these 7-5 teams to get to at least 9-7. So you got it's like 13 clubs. Playoffs. You want to get to 10 wins and avoid the mini playoffs. Real postseason. They're elimination games to get in. He does not put it on your postseason record. Record. Now let's see what we got here. The 5-7 teams, the Broncos and the Dolphins. So, first, because they're listed here first. And this is not a very good team on paper. They've been trying to build the team up. Heads off into the sunset, which doesn't look as imminent as it looked a couple of weeks ago. This is Tony's third year in the league. He's 8-8, 6-10. Now he's 5-7. He's an SSFA veteran. Team started off 2-2, but then had a rough second quarter, dropping 3-4. Bounced back to win 2 more again this quarter. He beat Tampa Bay. So you notice that with a lot of these teams that are 6-6 or below, they just don't have victories over good teams. Having his 5 wins are against. Beat Minnesota 7-5. Okay. But Buffalo's got 1 win. Miami's 5-7. The Colts are 6-6. Tampa Bay's 3-9. You know? And good teams that he's lost to include, San Diego 31-7, Atlanta 31-6, 2-11. My Jets 48-21. The surging Giants 35-21. And the Bengals 31-14. So team is not that great. I think I predicted them to go like 5-11. He's drafting pretty decently, but it can take time. I'll see if he can get it going before Eli. 7-9. I had him 8-8. Then it's looking better again with the picking. And we got Denver plays Detroit 6-6, Pittsburgh 7-5, Arizona 2-10, and LA 4-8. So there's a chance for a couple of wins there against Arizona and LA to get to 7-7. Then you got 6-6 Detroit, 7-5 Pittsburgh will be the big obstacle because that team is pretty good, and I know Denver's not really built for the year. But he might get to 8-8. He might get 3-4. We'll see. There's a slim chance to get to 9-7, but 8-8 is a possibility. Talked about it, disappointed. It's been the offense. I believe they're 5-7. This team. Big and opponent defense 17.8. But number 18 in scoring 17.9. So that hurts. They're middle of the pack in quarterback rating, 82.7. But 200 yards a game And probably rather middle of the pack as well. 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 64% completed. The running game is 14th in the league. Yards a game and a 4.6 average, so a little less than average. And plus 5 in turnovers. So Miami actually came into this quarter 4-4. They started out 3-1, with the one loss being a close game against Houston. That was a SOMIFA Showcase game. I recall that. I think it was a daytime affair. But then the second block of games, he dropped 3-4, including a 6 loss to Denver. That hurt him. And then the third quarter, he lost 3-4 again. Lost to the Jets, 34-16. Lost to the Giants, 23-14. Lost to Green Bay, 24-7. And did beat Ed's Niners, 9-3. Quarter's got Arizona 2-10. So maybe you get to 6-7 right there. Then you got Cincinnati 9-4, San Diego 9-3, and Dallas 7-5. I give this team almost no chance of running the table. They could get to 8-8. Could be 8-8. Could be 7-9. Could be 6-10. I think 7-9 probably. Probably gets to 7-9. Jay's got that first round pick next year, but Dan doesn't have Andy Dalton, who is at least an NFL starter. And I think that's where we'll wrap it up here. You get the Bears, Rams, and Eagles 4-8, Bucks 3-9, Buffalo 1-11, and the Chiefs now 1-13. As those two clubs battling it out for the number 1 pick overall for draft, about 8.5 months away. So I think I like Seattle to be one of the top 2 seeds. I don't know whether it'll be number 1 or not, but I like them to be one of the top 2 seeds. I think my Jets have got a pretty good track here to get a 2 seed. Jets or Tennessee, I think I might say might get the 2 seed. So I'll give Seattle. So I would say Seattle into track for the 1 seed. Jets and Tennessee right behind them at 2 and 3. I don't know what order. And both those teams have a chance to get the 1 seed. I think I like San Diego in the 11-win territory, where you're going to see, I think, as well, possibly Atlanta. So interesting. I don't know. I mean, my original Super Bowl prediction was Pittsburgh over the Jets. I don't know what to make of it now. Dennis is doing so well. I pick him all the time. It's kind of hard to see him make the Super Bowl when he's 2 and has this lofty point differential, but we'll see what happens. So I'm not going to make any new Super Bowl prediction. I made one before the season. Games coming up. Maybe I'll do a showcase. San Diego's in there. I don't think TT likes to participate in the showcases. So I got to find other games. And I don't like to use the same team twice, so it makes it difficult. But Seattle, the Jets, the Chargers, the Titans, the Falcons, the Bengals, and 4 better. All playing each other. All potential playoff matchups where we don't know what can happen. Atlanta, I think I mentioned. And that 7-5 group, I like San Fran and Pittsburgh to have a chance to advance in terms of the most dangerous of those teams. But should be an interesting postseason. Interesting. We're looking at the seeding. Hopefully I can go perfect and try and get my best record. I've never been better than 12-4 in SOMIFA. So I need a perfect quarter to go 13-3. I want to do something in the playoffs. Andrew Luck next year, and he might be having bicep surgery, something that happened for a long time, or if ever, who knows. Or he simply might not be the same player we all thought he would one day be. So my team is not great, but they're pretty good, and they're doing well so far, and getting the most out of them so far. In the playoffs, I don't know. I think they easily lose in the round of 8. They're just not that great. All right, guys, that's the show. I'm going to sign off here. I hope you enjoyed it. Here, it's 4:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Adios.